Are phones an issue even in sports? Very recently, we saw that Ron Washington, who is the manager to Los Angeles Angels, has adopted the same policy that he had in the Texas Rangers from 2007 to 2014, in which the banning of phones in the clubhouses. This has been happening throughout spring training, and now it is expected to be enforced throughout the rest of the season, with veterans Mike Trout and Kyle Hendricks expected to be those who enforce this, with penalties also being assessed. Back in the day with the Rangers, in that time lapse, it was a $500 penalty if this was violated. Now, beyond the fact that there is an increase due to inflation and so forth, the real question here is how much are phones an issue in sports? Is it proper that an adult gets this type of treatment? After all, even as young as they might be, even the younger prospects are in their low 20s. Is it fair for an organization to have the capacity to take away their phones? Now, if you're thinking right now and you have mixed feelings, I won't blame you. I kind of had the same thing when thinking about it. Even though I did remember that this happened back in the day with Adrian Beltre, with Michael Young, and so forth being those who enforced this, I can't say that I'm totally up there in promoting it. However, at the same time, I like to be fair as can be. So it makes you wonder. Phones have become a big time issue, and that's something that it's tough to negate for anyone. How annoying is it that if you are spending time with anyone, that their phone is their primary focus? You, me, there, we've been through that. How many times have you had to tell someone? If we translate this to what Mike Trout was talking about in the fact of saying, hey, we want to promote the fact of guys talking more. And I can't even blame him for that. He's right. There is something to be said. If people allow themselves to be totally dipped into their phones and just in the interest of not being hypocritical, to me it can happen, but for me, thankfully, it's perfectly much more the fact that it's a very strong, effective tool for working purposes. So a lot of time that you might see me on my phone, I'm mostly doing work stuff. And anyone that has messaged me and whatnot, and I have not replied on time, can actually vouch for that. It was supposed to be a joke kind of thing, whatever, but yeah, well, you get the point. The thing is that, in however you actually observe it, phones are legitimately an issue that we cannot bypass. They have become something that, as much as they're useful, it can also be a very strong source of distraction. Think about a player that has to focus hyper, hyper to actually be good at their craft. Much more in baseball, where it's a sport where, hey, you have competition brewing all the time. If you get injured and you're not a top star that secured their job already, you might actually get replaced. So, is this a service to the players itself? It's worth asking. And I would be one that would tell you, well, yes, it would be tough to say that it isn't. However, in the case of the Angels, the only issue that I do encounter in this is this the only right measurement that should actually be approached? As good as it is to take away phones, but what if any of them actually have an emergency? I mean, they have families too, so if they don't have access to the clubhouse, then are we going to go old school that they're going to have to communicate through the office and so forth? So that's really where it makes you wonder not only that situation, be it for anything else. Is it the best approach to just land on restricting and that much? That's a fair question. I don't think that that necessarily should be the answer. And here's the point: the Angels suck. As an organization, they are terrible. If you remove Mike Trout from that team, what's the next big thing you got? Zach Neto, Logan O'Hope. How many people can actually name players from the Angels? This is a team that is expected to suffer. This is a team that the farm system is unfortunate to call it in the most discreet of ways. This is a team that by all likelihood, unless a miracle happens, and those don't happen every day or every year in this case, it's going to struggle significantly. So if this team is already struggling, can you imagine how much people are actually going to want to talk? Now, granted, should they have to recur to, I don't know, after a terrible loss, go for a TikTok video to break the ice? Well, why not? And that's part of the issue. As much as I think that, yes, people going distracted with their phones and losing focus, it's a problem. But then again, you also have the counter subject. How many championships did the Rangers earn? And they had a much more interesting crew. If you go about it, they had more developed players, more readiness. They went to the World Series. They lost. Did Nelson Cruz not catch that ball because he was on his phone? No. So I think there always has to be a objective balance to everything. And I don't know that taking away phones is the real issue. I think that, however, a team like the Angels from up there, that's where it all actually has to have an impact. From upstairs, Arte Moreno and everything else, that organization is a mess. So again, is this too extreme? Yeah, I think so. Especially nowadays that players can have so many revenue streams that also originate from social media. So the fact that they actually can't utilize their phones in the clubhouse, that might actually be, you know, in juxtaposition of them having an issue with that. I think that that organization has leaps and bounds to go before thinking that social media or the phone, whatever how you want to call it, is an issue. However, it's important to address that yes, I think that people in general, there should be much more of a catering for us not to forget our social values. A lot of times you see people that are fully distracted on their phones, like I was saying before, and that is totally annoying. And it's also disconnecting from reality. I think that yes, we should always have a grasp on reality. It is uber important. However, everything is education and how you actually dictate your approach towards something. I think there's a better balance when you're dealing with adults in which responsibility is the better part rather than an immediate restriction, especially like Ron Washington. Where are the chips that he can actually vouch for of his eternal success? Unfortunately, there is none. So I think before going super strict and sending Mike Trout to look like an annoying policeman in the clubhouse, let's worry about things that are more important. And let's not be too extreme in the detriment of a team that already has a horrible structure going on. I'm interested, however, in reading you in the comments. What's your take on this? Remember, be happy.